I don't know if many of you actually know this, but FacePunch has been talking about adding a backpack system to Rust for a very long time. So in my opinion, it was up to the developer of backpacks, WhiteThunder, to make the plugin so good that there's no way that FacePunch would be able to compete with it, and that we would always be wanting to have the actual Backpacks plugin on our server. I've actually been waiting a couple of weeks to tell you all about Backpacks 3.11, but it's not because the plugin wasn't ready to go, it's because the add-on plugins that I want to tell you about today that make the Backpacks plugin even better than it is by itself were just recently released on uMod. So I'm going to tell you everything that's new in this latest version of Backpacks. Plus, I'm going to be showing you 2 more plugins that actually work with backpacks that are going to make it even more powerful than it is by itself. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rust Admin Academy, where I'm teaching you everything that you need to know about owning and operating a successful Rust server. On this channel, I do plugin reviews and tutorials. Plus, I want to give you all of the tips and tools that are going to make your Rust server ownership so much easier. If you're brand new to my channel, consider subscribing so that you stay up to date on everything that we're working on and to get the latest updates on the Rust development world. I'll remind you a couple of times throughout the video to hit that like button if you're enjoying what you're watching, so please remember to do so. All right, let's get on to today's video. I don't know if that hook intro was enough to keep you actually watching this video past my intro and all of that stuff. I know the Backpacks plugin is not exciting by itself. It's just become kind of this mainstay, it's almost like a staple in the modded Rust world. We have to have a Backpacks plugin. That's just the way it is. So how is it that WhiteThunder made the Backpacks plugin interesting enough that I would actually want to make a video and show you all about it? Well, obviously the best way to tell you all about it would be to just show you what's different. After you've installed the plugin, once you bring up your backpack, you're going to notice that it looks exactly the way it did before. However, there are some changes that we can make right away. So let's go into admin menu and have a look at what has changed in the permissions section. So obviously we have the backpacks.use. That's what we have to have in order to be able to use the plugin at all. And then we get to use permissions to decide what size of backpack the player actually has access to. In my case, I have 48 slots, but you can control that all the way down to 6. But if we have a look here, we've got this backpacks.gather permission as well as this backpacks.gui permission. So I'm just going to grant those 2 right away, and then I'm going to show you what they're all about. So with the backpacks.gather permission granted, now when we open up our backpack, we see something a little bit different. There's now a green button up there that says gather off. So we've got gather off is option 1, gather all is option 2, and then gather existing is option 3. And we just click on that button in order to cycle through each one of those. So obviously with gather off, the plugin does nothing differently. But if we have gather all turned on, anything that we take into our inventory is automatically going to get transferred over into our backpack. Alternatively, if we have gather existing, only the items that are already in our backpack will automatically transfer from our main inventory directly into our backpack. Let me show you what I mean. So I've got gather existing turned on right now. I've got 1 wood, 1 stone, and 1 low-grade fuel currently in my backpack. And you'll also notice that I have none of those items in my main inventory. But I'm just going to run along here and I'm going to pick up these chunks of wood here real quick, and you're going to see what happens. So now, without any editing tricks here, I'm going to open up my backpack and my main inventory at the same time. And as you can see, nothing went into my main inventory. It automatically moved into my backpack. So that's the first important change to the Backpacks plugin, and I believe probably the coolest change. However, there's more. Because I granted the backpack.gui permission in the admin menu a couple of minutes ago, that gives me as the player the ability to toggle on or toggle off the backpack button on my hotbar. Now for me, I don't like GUI, so I love being able to turn off that GUI if I don't want to see it. But if we wanted to see it, and because we have that permission granted, we can toggle it on and off. So in chat, you do /backpack.gui, no spaces. And that's going to bring up that GUI that we're used to seeing. And then of course we can just click on that button right there and we can access our backpack no issue. So let's say we like the GUI, but we don't like the actual graphic that's being used there. Well, of course we can change that to whatever we want. So let's go into the configuration file for backpacks, and we'll just change this image right here to a different one. Let's save that config, reload backpacks, and then when you go back in game, obviously the image has changed to this backpack instead. And you're going to see in a couple of minutes here why there's been an upgrade to the backpack images. So this is the part of the Backpacks plugin that gets pretty cool, and this is the part that I've been waiting for a couple of weeks for these additional plugins to actually be released. So if we go to the uMod's site where you can actually download the Backpacks plugin, I'll put a link to that in the video description down below. You're going to see 2 optional plugins that you've probably never seen before. The first one is ItemRetriever. We're going to get into that in just a minute, but the first one that I want to tell you about is actually the backpack button. What the backpack button plugin does for us is it allows us to completely customize what the GUI for the backpack actually looks like. After the backpack button plugin has been installed, obviously we're going to want to go in and actually grant the permission that is now generated on our permissions manager. And now you're going to see something a little bit different about the backpack button GUI. Now it's telling you that there's 3 out of 48 slots available from my backpack that actually have items in them. And of course that updates in real time, so as we move items around and fill up other slots, you can see that that number is changing down below. It also has a progress bar that's telling you exactly how full your backpack is. Honestly, in my opinion, like I've said before, I absolutely despise having GUIs, but this one makes it pretty cool. And let's say the player is okay with having a GUI on their screen, but let's say they don't like it where it is, they can actually change it to the left-hand side of the hotbar instead of the right-hand side. So simply in chat, we do /backpack UI space left, and it moves everything over to the left-hand side of the hotbar, which in my case, because I have my camera right here, that actually makes a lot of sense. And if you want to go in and have a look at the configuration file for the backpacks button plugin, there's a ton of customization features in there as well. However, it's important that I show you the second add-on plugin to the backpacks plugin. That's called ItemRetriever. And what ItemRetriever does is it allows the player to build, craft, load, what else? I think that's it. All directly from external sources. So what that means is we can actually use ItemRetriever in combination with backpacks and make it so that players can actually craft items directly out of their backpack. They don't have to bring it into their main inventory to craft an item or reload a gun or whatever. So now that we have ItemRetriever actually installed on a server, let's go back into our admin menu and have a look at all of our backpacks permissions again. So now we've got backpacks.retrieve right here. So let's grant that permission right there. Close that out. Now when we bring up our backpack, you're going to see something different again. So now we've got retrieve mode off, and obviously the alternative to that is retrieve mode on, and we just can click on that and cycle it back and forth. So as it stands right now with retriever mode turned off, when I open up my crafting menu, obviously I have no inventory in my main inventory, so it doesn't prompt me to craft any items. However, if I go into the backpack and I turn retrieve mode on and go back to my crafting menu, now you can see I have a bunch of different options for crafting even though I have nothing in my inventory. So if I wanted to be crafting low-grade fuel, I can do that because I have cloth and fat inside my backpack, and the ItemRetriever is allowing me access to do that. Same thing goes with reloading a weapon, fueling up a chainsaw. If you want to be building things directly out of your backpack, you can see that you can do that as well. So let me just show you here real quick. I have nothing in my inventory, and I was able to build all of those foundations. Another important thing that I want to tell you about before I let you go is the ability to actually have pages on your backpacks. So as you've seen, as I was using my backpack a couple minutes ago, I had 48 slots and it was all on one page. But let's say that there's other things going on, or we didn't want to take up that much of the screen. We can change how the formatting of the backpack is without changing how many slots the player has access to. So for example, I have max size per page set to 48, but let's say I wanted to change that to 12. Save the configuration file, reload the plugin, go back in game and hit my backpack button. Now you can see that I only have 12 slots available, but now we have a paging system. So we can go from page to page to page, depending on where we want to be putting items. And I just noticed actually you can actually turn off gather and retrieve mode for each individual page. I didn't know that before I started recording this video. So there you go, even another cool feature that I didn't even know about. So at the very beginning of the video, I was asking, how is it possible that WhiteThunder could make the backpacks plugin cool enough for me to make a video on it? Well, now you know. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you all think of version 3.11 of the backpacks plugin? Let me know what you think about the gather mode, the ItemRetriever, and the ability for us to completely customize how the GUI actually works. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, that button is right over there. And if you want to support what I'm doing at Rust Admin Academy, you can hit me up on my Patreon. And if you want to check out what that glorious work of art was that I was using to control all of my permissions with, check out this video on the left-hand side of the screen. It tells you everything that you need to know about admin menu. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next week.